English can be easy. English can be fast. You just need to know how. Many people think English takes many years. They think it needs big, heavy books and long grammar lessons. But the truth is different. You can make English simple. You can make it quick. You can enjoy the process. I am not just saying this. I have seen it happen, again and again. I have felt it myself. I want you to imagine this: you wake up in the morning. You turn on a short English story. You understand almost all the words. You smile, because the sentences feel natural. Later in the day, you talk with a friend in English. You make some mistakes, but the words come easily. You enjoy speaking. It feels light, not heavy. That is possible. Not in 10 years. Not in 5 years. It can happen in months if you learn the right way. Many teachers make English feel big and scary. I want to make it feel small and friendly. English is like a tool. You don't need to know everything about a hammer to use it. You just need to use it. Every day. With the right method, you will start to feel free when you speak. You will start to enjoy learning. And you will see that English is not a mountain to climb. It is a road you can walk step by step. Today, I will show you how to walk that road quickly. I will show you how to enjoy the journey. Maybe right now you are thinking, easy. Fast. That cannot be true. I understand why you feel this way. You may have studied English for years in school. You learned grammar rules. You memorized long word lists. You took tests. But still, speaking English feels slow. You hear native speakers, and the words fly past you like birds in the sky. You cannot catch them. You try to speak, but you stop to think. You feel afraid of mistakes. I know this feeling well. But here is something important: the problem is not you. You are not bad at languages. The problem is the method you were given. If you change the method, you will change your results. English will start to feel different, lighter, faster, more natural. I am here to give you a method that works in real life, not just in a school book. A method that makes learning feel fun, like a game you want to play every day. Most people think English is hard because they start in the wrong place. They start with grammar books. They see many rules: past tense, present perfect, conditionals, phrasal verbs. The list never ends. Every rule has exceptions. You try to follow them, but soon you feel lost. You think, I will never finish learning. Schools also give you big vocabulary lists. You try to remember them all, but you forget half of the words the next day. And when you speak, you cannot find the right word in your head. This makes you feel nervous. You start to believe you are bad at English. But that is not true. You are only using tools that don't match how your brain learns languages naturally. Children do not start with grammar rules. They start with listening, repeating, and enjoying stories. But schools often forget this simple truth. That's why so many people feel English is difficult. Another reason English feels hard is the fear of mistakes. Maybe you know this fear well. You are in class, or you are speaking to a native speaker. You want to say something, but a small voice in your head says, "What if I am wrong? What if they laugh? What if I sound stupid?" This fear stops you. You say nothing, or you use only short, safe sentences. But here is the secret: mistakes are not your enemy. Mistakes are part of learning. Think about a child learning to walk. They fall many times, but nobody laughs. Everyone knows falling is normal. The same is true for learning English. If you never make mistakes, you will never grow. But schools often punish mistakes. This makes students afraid. Fear kills practice. Without practice, English will always feel hard. To make it easy, you must remove the fear and speak freely, even with errors. Finally, many people think English is hard because of confusing rules. You hear one rule from your teacher, and then later you hear an exception. For example, you learn I before E except after C in spelling. But then you see words like weird and science that break the rule. Or you learn the past tense, ed ending, but then you meet irregular verbs, go went, eat ate. The more you study, the more you see that English has many exceptions. This can feel like trying to build a house on sand. But here is something important: you do not need to know every rule to speak well. You only need to hear and use English in real situations. Your brain will start to understand patterns naturally. This is how native speakers learn. They do not memorize every grammar rule, they use the language, and the rules become clear over time. When I first started learning English, I thought it was impossible. I remember my first English class in school. The teacher spoke so fast that I could not understand even one full sentence. My notebook was full of grammar notes and vocabulary lists, but when I tried to speak, nothing came out. I was shy. I was afraid of being wrong. In tests, I could write answers. But outside the classroom, I felt lost. I saw movies in English and felt frustrated because I understood only a few words. It was like listening to music but not hearing the melody. I thought maybe English was only for smart people or people who lived in English-speaking countries. I was ready to give up. But something inside me wanted to try one more time. I wanted to find a way that worked for me, not just for the school exam. I remember one time in particular. I was talking to a tourist who asked me for directions. I wanted to help, but I could not find the right words. I froze. My mind went blank. The tourist smiled politely and walked away, but I felt embarrassed for days. I thought, I studied English for years, and I still cannot answer a simple question. Maybe I am just not good at languages. This was my wall. I felt stuck. I kept asking myself, why can I read a grammar book but not speak to a real person? Why does my English disappear when I need it most? That moment was painful, but it was also important. It made me realize something had to change. If I kept doing the same things, I would get the same poor results. I needed a new plan. One day, I found a short English story online. I decided to listen to it every day for a week. The first day, I understood only half of it. But by the third day, I understood more. By the seventh day, I could say some of the sentences from memory. I felt a small success, and that small success gave me hope. I realized something powerful: my brain liked repetition. The more I listened, the easier it became. I was not translating in my head anymore. The words just came. This was different from my school method. It felt alive. I decided to stop memorizing long vocabulary lists and start listening to more English every day. That was the start of my new journey. After 1 month of daily listening, I could follow most of the short stories I chose. I started reading easy English books. At first, I had to stop and check words, but soon I could read without stopping every line. My speaking also changed. I began talking to myself in English when I was alone, describing my day, my plans, or even my breakfast. It was not perfect, but it was free. And something amazing happened: people started to understand me more easily. My confidence grew. The fear I had before was smaller now. I learned that progress is possible when you enjoy the process. That was my first big lesson: fun and repetition are stronger than stress and memorization. Here is the truth I discovered: the secret to learning English fast is not studying more, it is studying smarter. Many people believe they must spend more hours in class or read more grammar books. But if you use the wrong method, more hours will not help. It's like trying to run faster in the wrong direction: you will never reach your goal. Studying smarter means choosing methods that match how the brain learns languages naturally. Children do not sit with grammar charts all day. They listen, repeat, and use the language without fear. Adults can learn in the same way. The key is to make English a daily habit, not a heavy task. If you enjoy it, you will do it more. If you do it more, you will improve quickly. That is the real secret, not harder work, but the right kind of work. Once I understood that studying smarter was the key, I started to look for methods that were both easy and quick. Easy means you can do them without stress. Quick means you can start seeing results fast. Many learners think they must suffer to learn. They believe learning should be difficult, like climbing a mountain. But think about it, when you enjoy something, you spend more time doing it. You don't need motivation to watch your favorite TV show, right? The same can happen with English. If you find English content you like, it will pull you in. You will want to listen or read more. And without noticing, you will spend more hours with English. That's when improvement happens. The methods I will share with you are not magic, but they work with the way your brain naturally learns. They are simple to follow, and they will make English feel less like homework and more like a hobby. When learning feels like a hobby, you keep going. That is how you win. The other part of the secret is this: focus on using English, not just studying rules. Of course, rules have a place, but they should not be the main thing. If you spend 90% of your time studying grammar, you will be good at grammar exercises, but not at speaking. I learned this the hard way. I could explain what the present perfect tense was, but when I needed to order coffee in English, I froze. That is because language is a skill, not just knowledge. Imagine trying to learn guitar only by reading a music theory book. You could know every chord name, but you still could not play a song until you actually practiced with the guitar. English is the same. You need to use it, hear it, read it, speak it, every day. The more you use English in real situations, the faster it becomes automatic. Automatic means you don't have to think about it, it just happens. That is the goal. The first step in my method is to listen every single day. Listening is the foundation of all language skills. When you listen a lot, you naturally learn vocabulary, grammar patterns, and pronunciation. But the key is to listen to content you understand. If it's too difficult, you will feel lost and bored. If it's too easy, you won't grow. I suggest listening to stories, podcasts, or short videos made for English learners. Choose something interesting so your brain stays active. Listen more than once. The first time, just enjoy it. The second or third time, notice new words or phrases. Over time, you will find you understand more and more. Listening builds a library of English in your mind. Later, when you speak, you can pull from this library without thinking. That is how speaking becomes natural. Without enough listening, speaking will always feel slow and hard. The second step is reading easy English books, also called graded readers. These are books written for learners, so the vocabulary and grammar are at your level. Reading gives you a huge amount of input. You see words and phrases in context, and your brain connects them naturally. This is different from memorizing lists, where words are alone and meaningless. When you read a story, the meaning is clear, so you remember it longer. Choose books that you enjoy: mystery, romance, adventure, anything you like. The important thing is that you can read without stopping every sentence to look up words. If you meet a new word but still understand the story, keep reading. Your brain will often guess the meaning from context. This is how you learn naturally. Read a little every day, 10 or 15 minutes is enough. Over time, your vocabulary will grow, your grammar will feel more natural, and your confidence will rise. The third step is to speak without fear, even if you make mistakes. This is the part many learners avoid because they feel shy or embarrassed. But speaking is a muscle, you must use it to make it stronger. If you wait until your English is perfect before speaking, you will wait forever. Start now. Talk to yourself in English. Describe what you see, what you are doing, or what you are thinking. If you have a friend or language partner, practice with them regularly. Don't worry if you forget words or mix grammar. The more you speak, the easier it becomes. Each time you speak, you send a signal to your brain. This is important. Remember this. Over time, the sentences you say will come faster and smoother. Mistakes are not a problem, they are proof you are trying. Remember, fluent people are not perfect. They are confident and keep going, even when they are wrong. These 3 steps, listening, reading, and speaking, work best when you combine them. Listen to a short story, read the same story in text, then talk about it in your own words. This, triple practice, gives your brain the same content in 3 ways, by ear, by eye, and by mouth. Each time, you understand more deeply. You also build stronger connections between the words and their meaning. This is how the language becomes part of you. Some learners only listen, or only read, or only speak. That is okay, but progress is slower. When you do all 3, you cover all sides of the skill. Think of it like learning to cook. You don't just read recipes, you also watch cooking videos and actually cook the food. That is how you learn faster and remember longer. The final part of the method is not about the steps, it's about making them a daily habit. Doing a little every day is more powerful than doing a lot only once a week. 10 minutes daily beats 2 hours on Sunday. This is because your brain likes regular contact with the language. When you study often, the words stay fresh. You don't forget as quickly, so you spend less time reviewing. Try to connect your English practice to something you already do daily, like drinking coffee or brushing your teeth. For example, listen to English while you make breakfast. Read a short story before bed. Speak to yourself while walking. Small, daily actions create big changes over time. The goal is to make English part of your normal life, not something extra you have to find time for. This method works because the brain learns best through stories and repetition. Stories are easy to remember because they connect ideas in a chain. Each event helps you remember the next. This is why children's books are so powerful for language learning, they make meaning clear and memorable. When you listen to or read the same story several times, your brain starts to predict what comes next. This prediction builds stronger memory. You also start to notice how words and grammar work together naturally, without memorizing rules. The brain likes patterns, and stories are full of them. That's why learning through stories feels easier and more enjoyable than learning from lists and drills. Repetition is key, but it must be interesting. If you repeat something boring, you will stop. That's why I always tell learners to choose content they enjoy. When you like the story, listening or reading it several times doesn't feel like work. You notice new details each time. Maybe you hear a phrase you missed before, or you understand a joke you didn't get the first time. This makes repetition fun, and fun repetition is powerful. It keeps you coming back. Over time, the phrases you hear and read often become automatic in your mind. You don't have to translate, you just know them. That is the beginning of fluency. Another reason this method works is that it teaches grammar naturally. In school, you learn grammar by studying rules first and using them later. But the brain prefers the opposite: see examples first, then understand the rule. When you listen and read a lot, you see grammar in action many times. For example, you hear, "I have been," in many sentences, and your brain starts to feel when it is used. Later, if you study the rule, it makes sense immediately because you have seen it before. This is why children can speak with perfect grammar without knowing the names of the tenses. They hear it, use it, and it becomes natural. Adults can do the same if they get enough exposure to real English. When I started using this method, listening daily, reading graded books, speaking without fear, my English began to change in a way I could feel. After only 3 months, I could watch simple English TV shows and understand most of the story. I could speak to tourists without freezing. I even started to dream in English sometimes, which felt strange but exciting. People noticed the difference. Friends asked me, "What class are you taking? How are you improving so fast?" The truth was, I wasn't taking a special class. I wasn't spending money on expensive courses. I was just following a simple routine every day, for about 30 to 60 minutes total. The key was not the amount of time, but the consistency and the enjoyment. I wasn't forcing myself anymore. English had become part of my life, like a favorite hobby I looked forward to. This was the first time in my learning journey that I truly believed, yes, I can be fluent. One of my students, Maria, had been learning English for years in school. She could pass tests, but speaking was a nightmare for her. When she tried to talk, she forgot words and mixed tenses. She told me, "I understand grammar, but my mouth doesn't work in English." I taught her the same method I used: listen daily, read easy books, and speak without fear. At first, she doubted it because it seemed too simple. But she agreed to try for 1 month. She listened to a short podcast every day, read a graded book about travel, and spoke to herself in English while cooking. After a month, she came to me smiling. She had spoken to a tourist at her job for 5 minutes, without freezing, without panic. Her grammar wasn't perfect, but the conversation flowed. She told me, "I didn't even think about the words. They just came." That's the magic of this method. The best part about using this method is that you start to feel progress quickly. In the first week, you will understand more of what you hear. In the second week, you will remember more words without effort. After a month, you will find sentences coming faster when you speak. These quick wins are important because they build your confidence. Confidence is like fuel, it gives you the energy to keep going. Without it, you stop. Many learners quit because they never feel progress. This method fixes that. It gives you small successes every week, and those successes push you forward. You don't have to wait years to feel improvement. You can feel it in days or weeks, and that changes everything. Before you start, you must believe that English can be simple. If you tell yourself, "This is too hard," every day, your brain will believe it and stop trying. But if you tell yourself, "I can do this," you open the door to progress. Belief is not magic, it doesn't replace work, but it gives you the power to keep working. Think about other skills you learned in life: riding a bike, cooking, using a smartphone. At first, they seemed difficult. But you kept going because you believed you could learn. English is no different. Every fluent speaker you meet was once a beginner. They made mistakes. They forgot words. But they didn't stop. You can do the same. Even if you are busy, even if you think you are bad at languages, you can succeed if you take small, smart steps every day. I know you might have years of frustration with English, but I promise, it's easier than you think when you use the right method. The hard part is not the language, it's the wrong approach. Imagine trying to open a door by pushing when it needs to be pulled. You can push for hours and never get in. But if someone tells you, "Pull instead," the door opens in 1 second. That's what happens when you stop forcing yourself to memorize rules and start learning naturally. The frustration drops. The speed increases. English starts to feel like a friend instead of an enemy. When you feel this change, you will wonder why you didn't start earlier. Many people wait for the perfect time to start. They say, "I will learn English after I finish this project," or "I will start when I have more free time." But there is no perfect time. Life will always be busy. The best time to start is now, even with just 5 minutes a day. Those 5 minutes will grow into more. The important thing is to begin. Once you start, you will feel small wins. Those wins will give you energy to keep going. You don't need a big plan. You don't need perfect materials. You only need to take one small action today. So here is my challenge to you: choose one thing to do in English today. It can be listening to a short story, reading 2 pages of a graded book, or speaking out loud to yourself for 5 minutes. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for a new month. Start now, today, right after this video. The sooner you begin, the sooner you will feel results. Remember, English can be easy, but only if you start using it daily. Thinking about it will not help. Action will. If you want to stay motivated, tell someone your plan. Share it with a friend, family member, or even in the comments below this video. When you say your goal out loud, it becomes more real. You also create accountability, someone will know if you quit. This small pressure can help you keep going, especially on days when you feel lazy. For example, you can write, "Today I will listen to a 5-minute English story," or "I will read for 10 minutes before bed." Keep your promises small and clear. Small promises are easier to keep, and keeping them builds trust in yourself. Another way to keep going is to track your progress. Use a notebook or an app to record what you do each day. Write down the minutes you listened, the pages you read, or the conversations you had. Over time, you will see a long list of actions, and this will motivate you. Even if you don't feel big changes day to day, you will see proof that you are working. And if you are working, results will come. Tracking also helps you notice patterns. Maybe you learn more when you listen in the morning, or maybe reading at night works best for you. Use this information to make your routine stronger. Now you know the truth, English can be easy. English can be fast. You just need the right method: listen daily, read easy books, speak without fear. Combine them, make them a habit, and believe that you can succeed. Don't let past failures stop you. They were not proof that you can't learn, they were proof that you were using the wrong tools. Change your tools, and you change your results. Start today. Take one small step. Tomorrow, take another. Soon, you will look back and realize how far you have come. Your future fluent self is waiting. Go meet them. The journey starts now.